Scar streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms at UA_CTSN. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by The Good Feet Store. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. There you have it. We're back. We're live. We're brand new. We are Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond, welcome into the show on a Thursday morning. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the program. You can join us for the next 2 hours here on Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. And yesterday it started out as a, you know what, maybe I should drive over to Spring Garden moment for next week, for next Tuesday, as second-ranked Class 6A Hazel Green will take on the top-ranked team in Class 1A, Spring Garden and girls basketball. It has quickly become one of the most talked about and excited matchups on the hardwood in the state of Alabama, because a 6A school is making the drive over to a 1A school seven straight times. The Hazel Green girls have won it. The Spring Garden girls have won it 2 times in a row. You've got 19 combined state championships between Tim Miller and Ricky Austin over there at Spring Garden. And it started out as okay, maybe we should just get Moulton over there. We should just drive over there because we can get over there in 30 minutes and we're good. That was how we left the show yesterday. And then a couple things happened in the afternoon, and all of a sudden, Steve Moulton and myself will be indeed traveling over to Spring Garden on Tuesday, not just to watch the game. No. Big thank you to our new friends, Frank Ewing Mortgage up there in Hazel Green, and our good friend John Kendall. We're broadcasting the game next Tuesday at Spring Garden. We're doing the game over there. I called Coach Austin yesterday and said, hey, Coach, guess what? I'm coming over to a game this week, and I'm coming over this year. I'm coming over, and I'm going to watch the Hazel Green Spring Garden game. He's like, oh, that'd be exciting. That's going to be fun, brother. Yeah. I said, oh, but that's not all. We're going to broadcast the game.
There you go.
He goes, oh, boy.
Yeah, there it is.
That's taking it to a whole new level.
It is. It's going to be a sellout crowd, I'm sure. It's going to be a great atmosphere over at Spring Garden. It's going to be a great broadcast for you and Steve to do. I will have another commitment with Huntsville High. I hate that I can't clone myself and be at both places. I would certainly love to see that game. Coach Christian Swears even commented on social media what a big-time matchup it was. We all wish we could be over there to see that game with those two Hall of Fame coaches and all they've meant to the state and our sport. Ricky's won 7 state titles as a basketball coach, I believe.
Yeah.
That doesn't even I think he has 11 overall because of the volleyball state championships. And then Tim Miller has 11 as just a head basketball coach. Yep. He has the most in neither boys or girls state history. So it's awesome that Coach Miller's going to take his team over there and play and in that kind of environment. And it's a great opportunity for the young ladies at Spring Garden led by Ace Austin and the 6 seniors that, Coach told us about when we were over there at Spring Garden earlier this year. But it's great for our state and great exposure. And it's awesome that 97.7 The Zone is going to be a part of that. And we hope to have both coaches on the show Monday to preview that game.
All right. 256-576-4977. You can join the program on this Thursday morning. You say Mark from Spring Hill? All right, let's go to Mark on the phone lines. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Morning. Just wanted to beat Jess. from the borough. I'm sure he'll call in with his Wildcats. Hey, got a big one. Got a big one Saturday. I guess we'll find out how Alabama will rebound. No pun intended. From
if they don't rebound, they're going to get the hell beat out of them. I can tell you that.
Rebound is the key factor there.
Yeah, they've got to hit the offensive and defensive glass harder than they did on Tuesday. They did not play hard enough.
And that's what I ask you, True. I heard the show yesterday even in the afternoon, and I heard you've taken this game, and I agree. It was a bad loss.
It was.
But with an Alabama win at Rupp, okay, are you going to ease up on Alabama a little bit?
Well, they're very talented, and there's no excuses for playing that piss poorly. I mean, they're just not. It's kind of like Nate Oates said. It was disgusting. They did not play hard enough. And Ole Miss is a very good team that's well coached. I mean, to be honest with you, once Indiana does away with the experiment of Mike Woodson, which is another horrendous hire that they made, they should be trying to pay Chris Beard whatever it takes to get him there, because he learned under Bob Knight at Texas Tech, and he could take that program to heights they'd never seen. But he might take Ole Miss deep into the NCAA tournament and make a run at a Final Four, because he's certainly good enough to do that. If you can take Texas Tech to the national championship game, you can certainly take Ole Miss on a run. And he certainly has the kind of team I think that can do that this year. And again, it wasn't a bad opponent that Alabama lost to. It was the way they lost.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
It's the way they looked and the way they lost and the way they played. And they just didn't play up to the standard. It's like Nick Saban. You have to play up to a certain standard. There's a certain way you're supposed to play. And they did not put 40 good minutes together. And if they want to go back to the Final Four, and if they want to have a chance to win a national title at the University of Alabama, they have to play hard every day. Hopefully it's a learning, experience for them, and it'll wake some people up. They do need Darion Reed back as well. He's certainly a huge factor, and he hasn't been starting, but he's been coming off the bench. They need all 10 of their guys, but this league is a meat grinder, and if you don't get your mind right, one loss can turn into 2, 3, or 4. So you have to, they were playing well. They were flying high. They were number 4 in the country. Everybody was talking about how Duke and Alabama had the most upside of any team in America, and then you get smacked back to reality. So they've got to wake up a little bit and play harder.
That's the thing. You're going to lose games.
You're not going to. They weren't going 18-0 in the SEC.
It's hard to do that.
Again,
but to your point, and to Mark's point, he's like, well, we're going to ease up. Mark, I think you can't ease up when you see the performance of not trying hard enough.
Yeah,
if Alabama had went out there and tried hard, and I mean tried to crash every board, did everything they were supposed to, played with the utmost urgency, played with everything that they can, and Ole Miss beat them, then you applaud it and you move on. But it's when you go out there and you don't have the energy, you don't have what you're supposed to have every time on the floor, that's when it's concerning.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with both you guys, and I agree with Drew completely. But I think in basketball, one thing that's different in football is, you're going to have a game, and this is what I worry about Alabama, and this is traditionally what's happened to Alabama, is that we shoot ourselves out of the tournament. We rely too much on the three, and when it doesn't fall, we lose. What I love about Nate Oates is he's got the team where he's basically got Alabama where, look, we can't just show up and win because you put that Crimson, basketball jersey on, and just because we went to the Final Four. And I think it's more of he said we played disgusting. I'd say what they did is they didn't finish and they didn't play well offensively because, like you said, defensively they played well enough to win. I guess my question for you or both you guys is an Alabama win against Kentucky would show, in my opinion, that was just a blimp, just a little dot in the radar, and that this Alabama team is for real.
Well, I mean, I think they can be for real. I think they've shown that they were for real at times this season. I mean, we're not writing the season off at all. It's basically just a sound for a wake-up call and to see how hard they're going to play up in Lexington. They may play as hard as they can in Lexington and still not win. Kentucky is very, very good at home. Mark Pope hasn't lost at home. They've shot the ball very, very well. We're going to talk to Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio in the second hour, and he's a outstanding resource for Kentucky basketball. I mean, Mark Pope is a very good offensive coach. He's not archaic like the guy that left. They have a European kind of style, and they shoot a lot of threes, and they're very, very skilled. And so Alabama's just got to be ready because even if Alabama had beaten Ole Miss and found a way to win that game, this was going to be one on the schedule that you circled because Kentucky's been very, very good. They've been a top 10 team pretty much all year. I think they've got 5 top 15 wins already. They're definitely a contender for the SEC championship. Even though they had the hiccup of their own. They had a hiccup at Georgia and certainly used that as a wake-up call. But Alabama lost at home, which doesn't happen a lot. But Ole Miss was ready. Chris Beard had them primed and ready to go, and they're a very, very good team in their own right. And again, Alabama hasn't had any bad losses. But look, this is a very talented Alabama roster, 1 through 10. When they get Darion Reed back, they have everything they need to win. But it's about mindset, and I think that's what Nate Oates was talking about yesterday and what we kind of talked about on the show.
And the thing is, with the mindset, it's not just one game.
No.
It's not just the Ole Miss game. There were bits and pieces in other games where the mindset wasn't 100%. Mm-hmm. They were fortunate enough to get wins in some of those games. We see that with a lot of teams, and this is one of those hard parts of the season. All right, Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning, guys.
Morning.
I want to speak about the spring garden games and say something. I was talking with a couple of coaches last night. It feels good to see two guys, and especially Tim Miller, that are so secure in their legacy and who they are that they have no problem stepping out of their comfort zone and going and doing something that makes other people think, what? Load his team up, 7 championships in a row. A lot of people would be of the mindset that we don't go to anybody. But he's so secure in who he is and his legacy as a coach that he doesn't mind just doing something that's just good for basketball. And there's a lot of sports that need more of that. And I just tip my hat to him for just giving us a matchup that we otherwise would never see. I mean, we talked about Coach K and from Syracuse facing off as two coaches with 1,000 wins, and we may never see that again. We may never see two coaches in any sport in Alabama with this many championships ever face each other again, knowing that they're defending champions from the previous season and very likely could end up being champions again at the end of this season. Right. So it's just really ultra special, and both these guys deserve a lot of respect for being willing to put this on.
Yeah, and I think what Coach Austin mentioned to me, I think Hazel Green is going to be over in that area playing. And
Scottsboro.
They're going to stay the night and then come over.
Scottsboro is the number 1 team in 5A. So.
Right, and so this worked out well. And there were a couple other people behind the scenes that helped facilitate this. So
yes,
it was something in the making. And when it came out yesterday, really in full force around the state that this matchup was happening, and boy, the reaction just caught on, and people all over the state were like, "Wow, this is exciting." And Coach Austin said the boys team is so used to this by now, but that night as well, the boys team is actually playing for first place and a potential area hosting championship game or area game if they can win on Tuesday night as well. He goes, the boys game is just as big. He goes, but they're used to it. And he goes, but the girls game is getting the biggest attention.
Oh, it is, because the girls have been such a dominant 1A program, and we know what Tim Miller has done. It's unprecedented. It's been redefining in our state. To win 7 straight in 6A. We've never seen anything like it. Lauderdale County's had quite a run, won tons of state championships, but 7 in a row, it's never been done. I mean, they broke a Lauderdale County record in doing these consecutive championships. So Coach Miller, he's never run from any competition, and certainly Coach Austin will welcome anyone to play. And I'll just say this, just get there early. Scott and I have been over there. It ain't the biggest place, and it ain't got the biggest parking, so that I'm sure that the Spring Garden's going to prepare for this. They're going to probably have a makeshift parking lot created, but you better get there early, and I'm talking about way early if you want to get in there.
Yeah, their shoot-around for Garden starts at 1:30.
Well, you probably need to get there for a little after shoot-around then.
Yeah, then Hazel Green's having one in the afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I'm hoping they cut the field behind the church, because you ain't gonna need no scarecrows that day.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun, and Steve Moulton has not been over to Spring Garden yet. And I told him yesterday when I called him, and I said, "Hey, do you wanna drive over to Spring Garden and do a game next Tuesday?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Let's go." And I was like, "Okay." All right. You
got to get some sponsors, and that hasn't been hard to do.
And I told him, I said, it's going to be loud.
Yeah, it's going to be loud.
I said, it's going to be loud. But the good news is we've got them already. Coach Austin said that we have priority, and he's going to have a spot on the scorer's table. He'll have everything we need. He goes, anything that you guys need. And he goes, you just call, and we'll make it happen. So,
well, and so speaking of sponsors, Brandon's going to be one of them. Plug your company, Brandon, because I know you're going to be a big part of it. You're going to be there.
Well, at my company, Pilcher Appraisals, we appraise residential and land property. We buy houses, so if you've got a house for sale that you want to sell that you don't want to put on the open market, we'll be happy to come out and make you an offer on it. If you've inherited a piece of property, you need to split it up between you and your heirs. You need to know what it's worth. Call me. If you're getting divorced and you're going to split that property up too, I can come out and give you a valuation on it. So give us a call. We meet all your real estate valuation needs in any way that you need them.
Yeah.
And tell Moulton when you pass the silos, so pull it down to about third gear, because that's the school zone when you get there and it drops down to 25. And Alabama's finest has a big foot, and they know where to stick it.
Well, and we know Brad has already been having to plan where he's going to sit. So this is going to be quite an atmosphere.
Well, I'll tell you this. There's coaches in Floyd County that got wind of this yesterday after I started sharing it.
Yeah.
One of them called me and said, I've already called another coach a couple counties down, and we're trying to figure out if we can move our game.
Oh, wow.
And so we can go to this game.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you realize it only seats about 600 people.
That's what I'm saying. Okay.
And I said, all the Spring Gardens come out. How many Hazel Green people come out? I said, the Spring Garden's already talking about at what point are we going to start letting outside people into the gym. They're having to come up with a plan, I think, to figure out, like, crowd management. So they may be some of us out in the parking lot, and we may have to swap out and let the people do half.
Well, then they need to listen on 97.7 The Zone.
Yeah. It's going to be on Talk Radio, 97.7 too, because Alabama's at home that night. Or Alabama has a game that night, yeah.
Bring the karaoke speakers for the parking lot, because there may be some out there that need to hear
them, seriously.
All right, Brandon. Thanks for the phone.
Appreciate it, Brandon. Wow.
All right, 7.
That would be crazy, man. That people sitting out in the parking lot listening to y'all.
7:17. Like Hoosiers.
Well, no, it'll end up being one of those things where I was there when, and there'll be
Hazel Green and Spring Garden
2,500 people claiming they were there, and some of them may be outside, but it may be awful cold. They may have to bring some tents and some portable heaters.
Yep. All right, let's get a break in.
Stay away, weather.
Yeah, I know.
Just be cold.
I know. Just please, just be cold.
Let these young people get their
Game
platform.
On. Yep. Let's get a break in. Talking Ball returns after this.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Looks like we got a wreck in the left lane on 565. Not quite to Glen Hearn, but that's got traffic backed up halfway back to Greenbrier already. Had one in Decatur Beltline and Caradale that was an injury type. Maysville and Bell Factory ended up being a no injury. Are you over 35 and overweight? 7 different hormones can make it impossible for you to lose weight. Find out with a free quiz at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too. Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
He makes fun of his friend who vapes.
He would never try it.
She's into soccer.
She's on the honor roll.
She's just not the type.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping. Maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Football season and Bad Daddy's Burger Bar. The perfect combination of good times and great food. This season, score big with one of our chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness. Our delicious burgers are made with premium Angus beef, and you can pair it with one of our signature cocktails or a cold craft beer from our huge selection. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and our new location at Cliff Farm, Highway 72 in Madison.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Everything you need is just a click away.
I screw up sometimes, silly.
Okay, almost everything.
Come on, pal. Tell your fortune.
Log on today. 977ESPN.com. 977 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the program. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can join the program on a Thursday. And I'm just looking at something
I got a message. We're talking about the matchup, the significance of what you and Steve are doing doing this game. Spring Garden being the 1A, the two-time defending champs, and being a 1A school that's a powerhouse, and Hazel Green being the 7-time 6A champion, and right now Spring Garden number 1, Hazel Green number 2 in the rankings. But this is the equivalent, because back in the day they couldn't find anybody to play.
Yeah.
But this is the equivalent of when Cortland, when they were Cortland now, and when Hazelwood was still open, and they had trouble finding anybody to play them, especially in the smaller classifications that were outside of their area, because they were dominant. And so they had, at that time when they were playing Central Tuscaloosa, this was before they broke it up in Tuscaloosa, when it became Northridge and it's still Central Tuscaloosa. They kept Central Tuscaloosa, but they broke it up into Northridge, and it basically got broken up into 3 high schools around the city of Tuscaloosa. But at that time, Cortland had 173 students in their entire school. Had 38 of them were football players. Hazelwood had 39 players and 182 enrolled, so they were very, very similar in size. And they both played Central Tuscaloosa in the same season, and Central had 135 players. So that just goes to show you that's kind of what we're seeing here. Spring Garden's got a very special group of young ladies, and Hazel Green is a much bigger school, and Coach Miller's had it rolling. But credit to both of them for that they're going to strap it up and play.
And it's hard for teams like Spring Garden right now, this year, to play anybody because they've been so good. They are good, and a lot of teams don't want to play a 1A school. They don't want to lose to a 1A school just because it's the stigma of a 1A school. Yeah. So they don't want – and it's hard for 6A and 7As to travel to 1A schools lots of times because they are in remote areas.
That's very true.
It makes it a little difficult. Let's go out to the phone lines. Richard is with us this morning. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys. You were talking about this game. I was just wondering what the largest crowd to see a high school basketball game is in Alabama.
I would imagine it would have to be something in the state. In the state finals down there at the BJCC.
The one that I
went to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Richard.
In the 70s, they used to play it in Tuscaloosa. Back in those days, it was Memorial Coliseum.
Right.
I saw, a sellout was Selma versus Parker because Eddie Phillips played for Parker. But you didn't even have girls basketball. It was just 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that was back when it would seat 15,000.
Right.
Was the announced attendance. And like I said, I would think, you may have had something at the Civic Center, but they pretty much keep the top nowadays roped off, don't they?
Yeah, they say online the largest crowd for an Alabama High School Athletic Association high school basketball game was 17,550 in 2004 at the BJCC.
And that was Parker and John Carroll, I believe. It was a madhouse. I was not there for that game. I followed it on social media, but Parker and John Carroll played an all-Birmingham final, and, of course, Ron Steele was playing for it. Walter Sharp, I think, was at Parker, and that was, that was an outstanding matchup, with a really good
basketball.
Yeah, Mo Ford was at Parker at that time.
Yep.
And, he did an outstanding – and Marty Smith, I think, was the head coach of John Carroll. And they had DeMarais Carroll, who was with Ron, and actually DeMarais went to Vanderbilt and then ended up in the NBA. Ron got hurt, so he didn't end up in the league. And then Walter Sharp went to Mississippi State, we're
know the coach's name. He just didn't know the coach's name there.
Yeah, I mean that was a weird recruiting situation, but still, Sharp was very talented, and it was they wrote a story about that last year about the craziness of that game and how many people were there and attended.
And Richard, you're right too. Before that one,
the
largest attended game in the state was 15,043. That was at Tuscaloosa's Coleman Coliseum when Parker lost to Carver in the 1978 4A championship.
Mm.
Okay, that was the one I was thinking about because I was in school then, and my dad actually had a pass. He was a principal, so we had a pass to get in. So, so I would go to a lot of the games when I was in school between class and stuff.
Was that Carver Montgomery that won it?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and I think Phillips basically the crazy thing was Eddie Phillips. Basically, they threw a full length of the court pass. Phillips caught it. They fouled him with no time left. And I don't know if they were down 2. I guess they were down 1. And Phillips airballed 2 free throws. Airballed.
Wow.
Because I guess they'd assumed they were going to lose already. And so, he caught it, and they fouled him and had 2 free throws. And I don't think either one even hit the rim.
Wow.
Out. So, but, I figured it would be something at the Civic Center out. But I think they wrote the top off now, I believe.
Yeah, unless it's a big game and they know they're going to need to open up. It's basically they open up the top portion if needed.
Yeah.
So.
Because like you said, because you got to have to think, and you don't want to lose a home game, but if they put this at the Von Braun Center, how many people might come?
Yeah, but it's always logistics with the Von Braun Center, though. I know they sell out Havoc games, but basketball-wise, it's just the parking situation and the way. And trust me, I've been a part of one of those games where they did catch lightning in a bottle. when they were going to consolidate Johnson and Butler into May Jemison. They had one last hurrah. They decided to play a Lee Johnson game over at the VBC.
Yeah, they did. I remember that one.
And they I don't think they were expecting a sellout, but it ended up being one. And that's one reason why they tried the Huntsville City Classic semifinals and finals over there. But it was a crazy crowd. I went to that game. It was insane seeing all the people there. But Scott and I were kind of just discussing this. But you just lose that atmosphere of the high school gym, and where it's just everybody on top of each other, and that's what's going to be so neat about it being played over at Spring Garden. What an opportunity is for that community.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's going to be crazy. But like I said, I was kind of wondering what the largest crowd, because the football was Banks and Woodlawn back in 75 or so, 76, whenever in Birmingham when you had Tony Nathan and Jeff Rutledge, and in Birmingham is the largest football crowd. But I was just wondering about the basketball. But I figured it was something at the Civic Center. But like you said, you just had a lot of future college players on those two teams. And
it was an all Birmingham final, and so it was just a crazy atmosphere. And I just remember them talking about that they knew that there would be 12,000 plus, and there was even more than that. It was just, and I think they've reconfigured Probst Arena since then. But yeah, it's just it was an insane crowd, and Maurice was talking about it, and they basically talked to him, about the game, and John Carroll won a close one, but it was a tremendous atmosphere.
All right, Richard, thanks for the phone call, bud.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. 7:31. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll talk college football and a little college basketball conversation as well.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. We're going to be a little bit warmer across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures actually seasonal for this time of year. Highs climbing into the low and mid 50s, dropping into the upper 20s, lower 30s as we head into the overnight. Early Friday morning, a partly sunny sky. Friday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 50s, dropping into the 40s as we head into the overnight. Now, rain is going to move into the Tennessee Valley Friday night, Saturday morning, and that's going to stick with us through at least a chunk of Saturday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Sounds like we may have two accidents on Chapman coming across where 72 becomes 565. One of those may have an injury involved. Got a 5-car accident. This one's just before the International Airport exit. The Glen Hearn exits in the left lane there. That one's coming in as a no injury, but it's already got traffic backed up past Greenbrier. New year, new projects, and old ones that still need to be completed. Snelling can help with admin, business support, and accounting needs. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Neck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's perfect.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. And if I told you this, here is the thing. This is the Do You Believe It file. And is it just a load of crap, or is it just a load of crap? Carson Beck. So it was reported yesterday that Georgia was the first team to reach back out to Carson Beck to try to get him to come back to Georgia. And then Miami. But then they said there was a third school that inquired about Carson Beck, but they were actually the second school to do so, and that was Alabama.
I don't believe it.
That's what I meant. Is it the I don't believe it load of crap, or is it
They're not going to pay Carson Beck. I wouldn't pay Carson Beck $4 to $6 million. He's not worth it.
Matt Hayes, USA
Who's a
Today's
moron. He's
Matt
been up for
Hayes.
Moron of the Year many times. He's a schmuck.
It's like, why would Alabama dabble in Carson Beck?
I mean, as soon as I saw who it was attributed to, I was like, well, he's a jackass. Move on. Who hates Alabama anyway? He's an idiot. Like I said, I don't find him credible at all.
Right.
And I think it's just a bunch of throw it up on a board and see if it sticks BS. He got it from the gas station attendant over in Jacksonville, Florida or something. He's a moron. He knows about as much about Alabama football as, as Jeff from the borough. Who I got a message yesterday continues to take shots at me on other shows because he's
really?
yelling.
I haven't listened to anything other than
whatever.
to hear him on anything else.
He's an idiot.
Man. So that is interesting there. So no truth to the fact we don't think that Quinn.
Heck no.
that
I mean,
Carson Beck-
well, Quinn Ewers has turned pro, which I
Yes.
expected him to do. I
'Cause
don't think
remember
Alabama
yesterday
had
we said
any
was the
interest in Quinn
deadline.
Ewers.
Yes.
I mean, look, and we'll see. I think Alabama is at least committed to taking a long look at all three quarterbacks that they have on their roster in spring practice. And, to me, if they wanted to, if they thought Dylan Lonergan really had a great shot to win the job, they wouldn't have let him go to Boston College, and they would have tried to keep all four. But it's hard to keep four quarterbacks. Lonergan is going to try to win the starting job under Bill O'Brien, and I think they think Ty Simpson has a chance to be really good, but they also love Keelan Russell, who they just signed, and they brought Austin Mack with them from Washington. And let's not misunderstand something. These teams, they don't have bottomless pits of money to buy these players.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's going to cost a lot of money to get, Carson Beck and, of course, Quinn Ewers. And then it's interesting, if this $6 million offer is so true at Oregon, why isn't Carson Beck at Oregon, or why didn't Ewers stay in school and go to Oregon? I think a lot of it, I know this will shock you.
Yeah.
Mike Detillier always tells us about this, all this agent BS that they leak out trying to make themselves and their client look better and trying to create leverage. And that's what a lot of it is. Oh, he was wanted by everybody in America. I mean, look, Carson Beck's a good player. He had a good career at Georgia. Was he great? No. Will he win a national championship at Miami? No way in hell. I'm calling it already. I don't care if he's going to the Bush Leagues to play and put up a bunch of meaningless stats. Cam Ward won nothing, and he will win nothing playing for a bunch of buffoons over at Miami too. love Mario Cristobal as a recruiter and what he did at Alabama, but I'm a better head coach than he is probably. He's terrible.
You mentioned Quinn Ewers, and indeed he
can't coach a lick.
Does go to the NFL. He puts his name into the NFL draft. 36 games he started at Texas. He was 27-9 as a starter. He got Texas to the SEC championship game. He got him into the playoffs in 2 years. But in the back of my mind, the way the fans are reacting to everything he did on the field and wanting Arch Manning to come in and play and all this other stuff and just uneasy with Quinn Ewers on every snap, in my mind, he and Jalen Milroe are on a similar line as far as I guess you could say expectations from the fans, that he and Quinn Ewers are about the same. Am I wrong to think that?
Well, there's some similarities, but right now, Arch Manning is, we all know his lineage and his history,
right?
And he has played extensively this year, and he has shown that he can play. Alabama doesn't have that right now with Ty Simpson.
Right.
Some think he has a chance to be really good. Some fans and some folks, are doubting him as a quarterback. So because we haven't seen him even start a game. He has never started a game.
But the fans wanted more from Quinn Ewers. They thought he could do more. They didn't like the way he was playing. They wanted him to do X, Y, and Z.
Look, most
more.
of that was all about Arch. Give me Arch. Give me Arch. He's a Manning. He's bust-proof.
Right.
We got to have Arch. If it had been somebody else, don't forget, Malik Murphy was the backup for a while. He played well. He went to Duke. He spent a year at Duke and had a pretty good year. And where the hell is he now? Because, there's all these jumping around, and they're going from one school to another. But Malik Murphy is going to be starting somewhere else for his senior season, I guess. I've lost track. I know he went somewhere. I know at one time he was linked to Auburn. That didn't happen.
Oregon State.
Oh, it's Oregon State. He's doing the DJU thing. That's the last time
Oregon State?
Yeah, that's the last time DJU had a decent year. And remember DJU kept jumping around. The last one was a brick wall. Because
that one didn't work out, did it?
No. We'll see if it works out for Malik Murphy going to Oregon State. But he's going to Oregon State. He left Duke. And then Duke spent a ton of money on John Summerall's former starting quarterback, Mensa. So, and there's all those reports of $3 or $4 million for him. So, again, we'll see. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And look, and Kalen DeBoer has gotten quarterbacks out of the portal. Now, he already had a connection to Michael Penix, who, and by the way, very interesting conversation. I was on the drive at our great sponsor, Baumhauer's, with Steve Moulton yesterday, and we talked to Jerry Glanville, and Jerry Glanville thinks Michael Penix is going to be big time. Because Coach Glanville is still very, very in tune with the NFL and watching quarterbacks. And he likes some of the young quarterbacks in the league, thinks they've got a chance to be really, really good. He loves Jaden Daniels, he loves Penix, and he loves Bo Nix. And he thinks Penix is going to be big time. But don't forget, and I understand this, because I think it had more to do with the age and the reclassification of Austin Mack. But they were going to bring in Will Rogers for a year last year to be the quarterback. He ended up being the quarterback at Washington. And that's who Kalen DeBoer was going to bring in. But I take it more as they are confident. Now, it's not 100%. It's not 100% yet, but because you have to go out in spring and you got to perform. But I think the coaching staff at Alabama is confident in that one of the three guys can win the job. Now, they'll reassess after spring practice, but also there's not a lot of quarterbacks left on the market. And again, like I've said, it's if you believe the numbers. And Milroe made $2.5 million. We hear. I mean, that's a $3 to $4 to even more $1 million for 1 year investment. That's a ton of money.
But so Miami goes Carson Beck.
Yeah,
that's a reclamation project, right? I mean, he's
not a reclamation to a degree. He's got to come back from the injury.
He's
got to come back from his elbow.
Back on the interceptions. I mean, he
still had a second-round grade. We need to get Brooks Austin on to talk about this because he's extensively studied him on tape. But look, I firmly believe this: if he had not hurt his elbow, Georgia doesn't lose to the maggots from the Catholic school. And then they beat Notre Dame. They're probably playing for the national championship, in my opinion. Right. I know this wasn't a vintage Georgia team, but losing Carson Beck, and who knows? Notre Dame has a very good defensive team. They're very well coached. And Beck was turnover prone some this year. Perhaps they heat up Beck. They shut him down. Right. It's no guarantee. Right. But I still think the odds are that Notre Dame loses to Georgia, who would have had a good enough defense if Beck had one of his better games. Because I'm sorry, I know that Gunnar Stockton didn't play that poorly in that game, but Carson Beck has a lot more skins on the wall. Yeah, the passing game would have been smoother, and I still think Georgia would have won that game. I still think Ohio State would be the favorite over Georgia. Don't get me wrong here. But my point is, if Carson Beck does not tear his UCL, I don't think he even goes back to school. I think the injury really hurt him, and he was already going to be a second-round pick. But maybe if he could go through the entire draft process, you could – and if he'd have won the national championship or at least played in the national championship game, you could get yourself some momentum going, take that into the draft process, get into the first round. But with being injured, you have no chance, and you might even drop.
Right.
And so I think the injury – to me, if you read the tea leaves, is the biggest reason that Carson Beck went back to school.
All right, who do we got real fast? Let's go to Philip real fast. Good morning, Philip.
Call back, Philip.
Well, let's get a break in then. I'll do a break. We've got to pay the bills. It's Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
We're only getting a single lane of traffic past that accident just before Glen Hearn on 565. That one's in the left lane. No injury there. Had a couple of wrecks up on Chapman where 72 becomes 565. One of those had a minor injury. Sounds like though they've moved them both off to the Andrew Jackson exit. With more than 30 years experience, D&L Refrigeration can save you money on those heating and air conditioning repairs. 256-652-1207, state license 08091. Captain Neck in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio, including the college football playoff and national championship game.
The electricity, the atmosphere.
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the college football playoff national championship, presented by AT&T. Coverage begins Monday, January 20th at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
It's the beauty of college football.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at VBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
I'm Al Roker, and here's what's happening in your neck of the woods. Americans are boating responsibly. They know that on average, 2 people lose their lives and 9 are injured in recreational boating accidents every day. So they're wearing their life jackets, taking safe boating courses, leaving the alcohol on the dock, and of course, always checking the weather. You can learn more at www.uscgboating.org. The U.S. Coast Guard and I remind you, please boat responsibly.
It's time to get your family into boating. The Huntsville Boat Show is back January 16th through the 19th at VBC. Shop, compare, and save thousands on your family's dream boat. Hundreds of new boats to purchase on site. Shop pontoons, wake surf boats, fishing boats, and more. Visit HuntsvilleBoatShow.com.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the phone lines. You can join us here this morning. We are about ready to wrap up hour number 1 here on Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. And I did not see this. You did not see this, but our producer did see it, and he did point it out to us.
Oh, yeah.
And I looked at it.
Another foul fest.
I looked at it during the break. I looked at the box score, and I looked at everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had to call this game, if this was a UAH game or a Gulf South Conference game.
If I was statting it, I definitely would have had to pee.
I would have had to do something. There were a combined, both teams, okay, if you add up their free throw attempts.
Oh, Lord.
They were 85 for 122. 85 for 122. I am talking UMass and Fordham. They went to triple overtime last night. UMass got the win 120-118. Okay? That's the small part of it, because that's not a bad score for triple overtime in college basketball. 120-118. The problem was that UMass was 37 of 57 from the free throw line. Fordham was 48 of 65 from the free throw line. The fouls were 39 fouls committed by UMass and 40 fouls committed from Fordham.
Did Doug Shows and Don Daly do the game?
Oh, no. You had 4 players from Fordham, 5 players foul out. 3 bench players and 2 starters.
Yeah.
You had 4 players from UMass foul out. That's insane.
Dang. If there had been 3, we could have played 3's the magic number.
And guess what? UMass scored 120 points, but only had 3 players in double figures.
Because there's probably dudes that's never play, that don't play heavy minutes, having to get on the floor because of the foul fest. I guess they're getting paid by the whistle.
Can you imagine having to sit through that game?
I sat through a 3-hour one watching it on TV in College Station with Alabama and Texas A&M.
This one had to take
How long
3
was the
hours.
freaking game?
That's what I need to find this one out.
See, almost a 4-hour game.
Almost a
3 hour. That is totally ridiculous. 3 hours and 45 minutes.
1,700 people saw it.
That's how many people. And was this played at UMass or Fordham?
Looked like it was at Fordham.
Probably. Playing the Rams.
Yeah, looked like it was at Fordham. Anyway, that's just insane. That is all right. Who's on the line with us? B Rich is on the line. Good morning, B Rich.
What's up?
What's up, fellas? Can somebody finally tell Doug Shows it's time to size up on that zebra outfit? We're big guys.
Yeah.
Doug, it is time to move up. Let's go ahead and get an extra large, because that dude's still wearing like a schmedium.
I was gonna say you're gonna go with the schmedium.
Is he beefing up?
Doug, dude, listen. Father time and metabolism catches up with everybody except for Scott Tyson. And it is catching up with Doug, so it's time to size up. But guys, hey, the reason I called, I had to call in and plug tonight at 6 o'clock.
We're carrying it on 97.7 The Zone. Absolutely, yes, sir.
Let's go. Dawn Staley is bringing her phenomenal ball club to Coleman Coliseum to take on Christy Curry and the Tide, who are quietly having a very, very solid season and doing it lately without the best player on the team, Sarah Ashley Barker, who is hopefully the word on the street is hopefully next week they're looking for Arkansas, Vanderbilt time frame for her to come back from that high ankle sprain.
That's right.
So hopefully they get her back, but that I'm hoping for a phenomenal crowd. Unfortunately, I know there's going to be a lot of South Carolina folks in there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you guys have done such a great job of plugging women's basketball, and I'm so excited for the Spring Garden Hazel Green game. But let's just keep this energy rolling with women's college basketball, and let's see if some people can't get down there to Tuscaloosa. It's like $10 to get in. It's general admission seating, first come, first serve. We'll be down there courtside. So maybe Christy Curry can conjure up some magic. Those girls have absolutely nothing to lose tonight. They get a free shot at a top 5 ball club. So maybe they can shock the world. But I'm proud to hear y'all carrying it, and I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah, we certainly will. It'll be the pregame will start at 5:45, and we know the tip will be at 6 or a little after that. Saw Roger Hoover at the game on Tuesday, working with the the UACTSN crew, and he'll be on the call, I'm sure, tonight. It was good seeing our guy Richard Hendricks. He was calling the Tennessee-Georgia game last night. We'll see if he's back in Tuscaloosa tonight and maybe handling the TV side. But it is a great opportunity for those young ladies to play against a team that's a perennial Final Four and national championship contender. No question about it. They're that good, and I believe they're the defending national champs. So just a outstanding opportunity. I wish Sarah Ashley were healthy, but I was proud of the way they bounced back from a rough outing over in Austin, who Vic Schaefer's got a really good team. But they did a nice job after a slow start in the first quarter of winning at Ole Miss, which is not easy to do. And as Coach Curry said, I think they had 6,000 to 8,000 over there in Oxford. Yeah, and
big crowd.
And Leah Nye had a career game, and she's had a lot of great games, but she was outstanding from the three-point arc. I think she had 8 threes, and they were able to win that game. And so these young ladies have played well. There's no doubt about it. They're ranked in the top 20 in the country, and I hope there is a big crowd over in Tuscaloosa. I hope Crimson Chaos turns out, and I hope I've been in that arena when they had 7,000 to 8,000 for a women's game, and it's quite exciting. So hopefully the young ladies will play well tonight.
It'll be amazing, man. Leah Knight was 8 of 10 the other day behind the arc, and that's twice this year that she set a career high. She had 32 against Ole Miss the other night, and then against Jacksonville earlier this year, she had 31. So she's playing really, really well. So, hey, as Brandon always likes to sign off, hey, roll Tide, guys.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, thanks, Beach. All right, we are just about done with hour number 1.
Yep.
When we come back, when we kick off hour number 2, Brian Matthews will join the show, kind of get an update on everything that's going on down on the plains, because there is a lot going on down there. That'll be in hour number 2. And then Alabama does travel to Lexington this weekend, and then we'll preview a little bit of that one coming up in hour number 2 as well with Jack Pilgrim from Kentucky Sports Radio. Also coming up in hour number 2, the 2025 College Football Hall of Fame class was announced yesterday in its entirety. So we've got the rest of the names on who's heading into the College Football Hall of Fame, as well as coaches. We know Nick Saban is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I saw some people that think they know sports media put out there that he is already inducted, but no, he is not inducted yet. He will be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, you're not inducted until you retire.
Well, but the class has been revealed.
Yeah.
These guys will be inducted.
Yeah, it won't happen until next December.
Right.
Yeah. I just hope Urban packs his meds.
December 9th is when they will be inducted. Yep. So they've got to wait a few
Usually
months.
they give it a full calendar year. They announce it, and then you go in about a year later.
Yes. All right. That's the end of hour number 1.
They probably all picked Notre Dame to win the national championship, Scott.
We'll review it and some heartwarming moments coming out of the reveal yesterday for one former coach in the state of Alabama.
That's cool.
We'll hear you all that in hour number 2.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. For a limited time, GBank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a GBank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
College football playoff championship game Monday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The line remaining steady. Ohio State, the 8.5-point favorite, 46.5 the total. Saturday in the NFL AFC divisional round, Kansas City laying 8.5 against Houston. Saturday in the NFC, Detroit 9.5-point favorites over Washington. In the AFC, Baltimore a 1.5 road favorite at Buffalo, while the Eagles are laying 6 at home against the Rams at Lincoln Financial Field, 43.5 the total. College basketball today, Jacksonville State a 2-point home dog to Louisiana Tech, 141.5 the total. For more, go to vsin.com. Mike Senna, 97.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
This hour brought to you by SportsMed Orthopedic and Spine Center. Online at sportsmedalabama.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
There you go, hour 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Welcome back into the program. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They're dedicated to providing care that improves lives. They're helping us kick off hour number 2 of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. If it's hour number 2, that means it's time for us to bring in our first guest. And by the way, yesterday at home, just nonchalantly just walked over to the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Opened up a fresh case or a fresh bag of tortilla chips.
Right.
And was just like, I looked at the clock and it was like 1:30, 1:45. I was like, you know what? For no reason.
No reason at all.
Just want some chips and salsa.
Yeah.
I did. Just sat down and was like, I want chips and salsa. So I just popped open some chips and Uncle Keith's red sauce and just sat there and was like, damn, this is good.
And our next guest can attest to that. Certainly, he's the one that turned us on to Uncle Keith's red sauce. He joins us on a daily basis to talk Auburn athletics. Since 2001, he's covered the Tigers. He's with AuburnSports.com, part of the Rivals Network, and he's joining us via StreamYard, and that is Brian Matthews. Brian, welcome back to the show, man. Good morning.
Good morning. And it's always a good time for some Uncle Keith's, right?
Yeah. You got Scott eating in the middle of the afternoon.
Nonchalantly. I mean, Brian, it wasn't like I was sitting on the couch saying, you know what, I'm hungry. I just got up for no apparent reason. Just got up and just had some chips and salsa. I have no idea why.
Throw them on some eggs this morning, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, man. Hey, but I'll tell you what, speaking of taking steps forward, Alabama certainly ran into a brick wall on Tuesday, but the Auburn Tigers did not, despite the temporary loss of Jonai Broome, and we know he's on the road to recovery, and we're glad to hear that after his ankle injury in Columbia, South Carolina. But what a performance by Auburn against a good Mississippi State team, by the way, a team that I think is an NCAA tournament team, but Chaney Johnson, Denver Jones, Tahad Pettiford, the entire team, Chad Baker-Mazara. This is a really good basketball team. I think they are the best team in the country right now, but what a performance inside Auburn Arena, 88-66 win over Mississippi State.
Yeah, they came out of the gates fast, jumped up 10-0 just to start the game, and I think that sort of set the tone for Auburn. I believe they led the entire game, if I'm not mistaken, led by as many as 26 points in the second half. I think State got it down to 13 or so. Maybe it was closer than that, but managed to pull away there. I think the biggest thing with Auburn in that game was the defense. They held State to 22 points below their average. Josh Hubbard, their star player, was just 2 of 12 from the field, 2 attempts from 3-point field goal range. And Denver Jones, of course, deserves a lot of credit for that. He had that assignment for most of the night.
Brian, obviously it helped playing this one at home for the first time without Janai Broome because, you can feed off the energy at home, makes it a little bit easier to adjust. You feel a little bit more comfortable. If Auburn has to go on the road without Janai Broome, and they probably will.
Yep.
Do you think that is sustained? I know they were able to overcome it at South Carolina, but I think it was a little different. But to play a whole game on the road, can this team do that for a few games without Janai Broome?
I think it's possible. The thing is the SEC is so good. I know Georgia lost last night, but with Asa Newell, one of the top freshmen in the league in the country, they're capable of beating any team at home. They shoot better, play better, score more efficient at home. So this will be another big test for Auburn Saturday. Don't think just because Auburn won, against State, a good team, and Georgia lost, that the tables couldn't be turned, in Athens Saturday at noon. So I think Auburn can hang in there. The good thing is after this game, they get a week off before Tennessee. So that gives Janai a chance if he's unable to play this weekend, which I don't think he will. A chance, to have a whole week to recover. So we'll see how that goes. But I think it's going to be again up to Chad Baker and Chaney Johnson and those guys to have to step up one more time.
Well, and that's what I thought when the injury happened. I was asked my opinion, and I thought, and I think it's huge that timing's everything. Sometimes if they have that week off, basically. But I thought it would be a 2-week injury. So is that what you're hearing? That there's a really good chance that he could come back after, missing this week and then the week off for the Tigers?
Initially, although I think there was a feeling that was going to be close, to getting him back for Tennessee. I think maybe we'll have a better idea today. I'll speak to Coach Pearl here this afternoon. But, it's a pretty bad sprain. I've had a few of those in my day, and they don't feel very good.
They don't.
And, of course, I didn't have the training staff that he had to just sort of get that better. So, they're very careful with it. They put a boot on almost immediately. He's been rolling around in a scooter for the past 3 days trying to keep off of it, so to speak. So we'll see what it looks like.
You mentioned the defense, a big part of the success there against Mississippi State. And in his post-game press conference, Bruce Pearl specifically pointed out Denver Jones's defense and specifically against Mississippi State. And it's hard to believe that last year Auburn faced Mississippi State 3 times. This year they're only going to see him 1 time. But he did point out the defensive effort from Denver Jones.
Yeah, Denver and this entire team, but Denver really did a great job against Hubbard. He's a tough matchup for a guard because he has that length. He's also very savvy. He understands you got to get to point A before the offensive player does, and just does a great job of guarding without fouling. He's rarely in foul trouble, and he usually gets the toughest cover, at least from the guard and wing position every single night. So he has been terrific. Asa Newell, I think, is a different, sort of cover. Denver can't cover him, or I don't think he will. So they're gonna have to get one of their bigs, and sometimes those bigs do well, and sometimes they get in foul trouble. So we'll see how that goes Saturday. But this whole team played great defense. They still need to rebound better. Still getting beat on the board. Still giving up too many offensive rebounds. But boy, they're playing lights out defensively. And when you can do that, that travels. It works on the road. It works when you're missing a great player like Janai Broome. It just gives you a chance to win just about every game.
It does. It really, and I got to say too, when 2 of your best players, and you talked about them needing to step up when they go on the road to Georgia, but when you have guys like Chad Baker Mazzara and our good friend Chaney Johnson, and they shoot, I believe, 15 for 21 combined, that's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And both those guys are shot makers. Chad is one of those guys that can drive in there and take an off-balance shot and make it consistently. And Chaney has just gotten so much better. He can hit the three, he can hit a pull up. Of course, he can use his power and go inside and posterize somebody too. But he's a complete player, and it's just amazing how the progress some of these players have made in the last 2 or 3 years at Auburn. Cheney, Denver, several others have gotten so much better. Janai Broom, of course, since they've joined the program and gotten under Bruce Pearl and his assistants and his staff.
Yeah, no question.
And how much energy? I mean, so going into the Mississippi State game,
right?
Bruce Pearl said that he didn't believe that this team was playing like a number one team, and that do you think Bruce Pearl though also sent a message, because this team looked like it was shot out of a cannon on both ends against Mississippi State? Do you think he sent a message though to kind of wake up and say, hey, let's start playing like a number one team?
Yes, and I also think that he wants to be careful because he knows it's just mid-January, and this team has got to improve by the time it gets to March, or it's going to it's going to run into some trouble, just like every other team. We know there's some teams with more NBA prospects on it, player of the year candidates on it, like Duke and a bunch of young, former 5 stars who are going to be much better once we get to March. So Auburn's got to get better too, and they can't start thinking that they're the best team in the country and they don't have to work hard, or they can just go out there and take it easy. They do that and they'll get run out of the gym, as Tennessee did at Florida. The same Florida team, I think they got beat by Missouri at home, if I'm not mistaken, if I got my games right. So it's going to be. I know Auburn's off to a great 4-0 start. Maybe they'll win at Georgia, but it's still going to be a real battle in this conference. And just because Auburn's number one, just because they're 4-0 in the league, nothing is settled.
And in the past, Bruce has had very good teams at Auburn since he got the program rolling after the first 2 years. They've had trouble at Georgia before.
Yeah. And not very good Georgia teams. I think this is the first time they've been ranked in 14 years. Kind of reminds me of the streak Auburn was in with Barbie and Lebo back in the day. It was not good, but it can be. I think the good thing is Auburn travels very, very well, and anytime there's a road game close to Auburn, Georgia, Mississippi, they travel in droves. So I would expect that there'll be a good portion of Auburn fans in Athens Saturday to support the Tigers.
I would be shocked if this is not a sellout. I think it'll be a great crowd.
Oh yeah.
And then, how do you see the matchup? Because you already mentioned Asa Newell. I saw him play at Montverde alongside the Freakazoid Cooper Flagg. He's an outstanding player, very athletic.
That's a pretty good team.
Yeah, that team was slightly good, Brian. I mean, there was only about 3 lottery picks in the starting 5 for Montverde. But yeah, how do you see the matchup? Because Georgia's big and they're athletic,
and they got some size at the guard position, so that'll match up really well with Auburn. And they do play so much better at home, shooting wise and just scoring and efficiency. So I'd expect this is going to be a really competitive game. I think that the key is being able to defend Newell without getting into foul trouble, whoever that is, whether it's Cheney, whether it's Dylan Sum, whether it's Chad Baker-Mazara, whether they switch it up, to try to give him different looks. He's a very versatile big. He can shoot from outside. He can dribble drive. He can play in the post, and he plays really hard, right? He has a lot of passion for the game. You can see that when he plays, which, that can really play up to the home ground too. And he can have one of those special nights if you don't really defend him well.
And I know there's a story up on Rivals.com and AuburnSports.com about from your colleague Daniel Locke. I'll let you explain it, because he came in under the radar out of the junior college ranks, and by the way, might get another year at Auburn. I know Coach Pearl has talked about they'll worry about that down the road, but Chad Baker-Mazara has really had a huge impact on this team since they brought him in, and before he went the JUCO route, he was part of Brian Dutcher's program at San Diego State, and I think that sometimes it gets forgotten because of the type of player that they have in that program.
Yeah, and I think along with his basketball skills getting better, I think he's also maturing a little bit. And I hope to write about this soon. But if you've watched him, of course, in the tournament and some other times, You feel like teams and players are trying to bait him into making a mistake, getting too emotional, getting a tech or something. And I think he's finally adjusted to that and doing a much better job and sort of turning the tables now where maybe he's baiting some players. They're trying to bait him, It's getting deep here.
Right.
But I just think he's handling those things much better. And then he's just steadily gotten better offensively. I feel like, where he has a lot of confidence that he can pop a three, he can drive and make a tough shot, and do some of those things, especially when Auburn needs it when they're missing a Janai Broom. And then he's always been a tough matchup defensively just because of his athleticism and because of his length.
If you asked Bruce Pearl at the beginning of the year his expectations for Tahad Pettiford, if you said, okay, where do you want to see him at the end of December? Where do you want to see him going into the new year as far as fitting into this team, getting minutes and everything? Do you think he would have expected what he got out of or is getting out of Tahad Pettiford at this point? Has he come along faster than what Bruce Pearl might have thought? Or is this kind of the plan or where we thought we would see from the young man?
I don't think this is a plan for Tahad at all. We talked to Bruce during the preseason, after the summer, and his plan was still to use Tahad primarily at the 2 guard, right, and to use J.P. Pegues and Denver Jones at the 1 at the point. And as the season has gone, the preseason and the season, Tahad has just been really electric at the point guard position. He's a playmaker. He can shoot. He has no fear. He's really good on the dribble drive and getting the ball for the little dunks for Dylan or whatever. So he's sort of taken over that role. And JP Pegues, who they brought in as one of the top transfers, is not really playing right now, and that's because Tahad has played so well. And you just think this kid is going to continue to get better and better as he gains more experience. I wouldn't say he's going to need more confidence because I don't think he lacks that. He really believes in himself, and it shows when he goes out there.
Let's not bury this, but you talked about Auburn needing to rebound better. Well, Miles Kelly certainly took that to heart. The Georgia Tech transfer. He had 10 boards, had a double-double on Tuesday.
I think that's a good sign, right? Here you got a guy that transferred in, who's here to be a 3-and-D guy, and he recognizes that, Auburn's got to step up and hit the boards better without Janai. You're Mr. Double-Double, and he goes out there and gets the first double-double of the season, I think the 4th of his career. That just tells me something about this team, right? They get it. They understand what they need to do to be successful. So I just thought that was a great performance by him. Also shot it well from 3 as he usually does at home or on away sometimes too. He certainly did at Cameron Indoor, especially in the first half there. So he was a great addition. We talked about some guys maybe that come in and don't fit. He has come in and really taken on this new role. He was more of a go-to guy, the primary scorer and guy they leaned on at Georgia Tech, and now he's just sort of fits into Auburn as just like a piece. That 3-and-D guy makes threes, plays good defense, and now showing that he can hit the boards too when needed.
And now, and it's timestamped 20 hours ago. Brian Matthews had chips and salsa yesterday.
I did.
Really?
That's right. According to that podcast.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I mean, I did not say that because
I know. I didn't think you knew that.
It was just a weird thing yesterday. Just sitting there and just like, just got some chips and salsa. I have no idea why. I don't ever really do that a lot, but I just did.
Yeah.
I bet you had the best. I bet you had a great day yesterday too.
I did. You know what? I did. It was so good. So good.
Well, Brian, we appreciate it. Great stuff on Auburn Hoops, and that will be a heck of it. Now, to let everybody know what's going on, I know there's some stuff going on Auburn baseball-wise. We're going to be right around the corner from Butch Thompson's program, Taking the Diamond. I know they got some things going on, but let everybody know what you guys are going to have covered at Auburn Sports.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Butch today before Pearl. It looks like the construction, all the new additions is getting close to being done or is done in certain areas. So that's a plus. I think the baseball team is going to be better. I think the lineup's going to be exciting. And they've got more pitchers. You just got to, wait and see how it all comes together there on the mound. We'll have baseball, basketball. Auburn's got their first Junior Day, January 25th. So a week from Saturday coming up. We'll have full coverage of that and more. auburnsports.com. Follow me on socials, BMATAU. And that delicious Uncle Keith sauce available statewide. Publix, Piggly Wiggly, Renfro's. You can use BMAT15 code for 15% off your online order.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Brian.
Appreciate you guys.
So
that's good stuff.
Yeah, Brian Matthews mentioned, Auburn baseball and Auburn softball.
Yep.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Our friends over at UAH
have
a softball game in 15 days.
Yeah.
They play on January 31st.
Well,
in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yeah, I was, Hunter Royer and those guys, they're getting ready to take the field too. The Diamond, I saw some pictures from them from the athletic department, and
they play January 31st in St. Augustine, Florida.
Yeah.
But they are 15 days away from starting the baseball season. Dude, we're not even out of January yet.
Yeah, I know.
15 days away from starting the baseball and softball season. Auburn, by the way, will open up baseball season February 14th.
Yeah.
So Alabama
on Valentine's
will be
Day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, that's right.
Oh.
Look at that. Wow.
Yeah.
Need to plan that.
Wow.
All right, let's get a break in. 256-576-4977.
And don't forget, we're going to have softball over at Toyota Field.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wrecker on the scene now for that last vehicle on 565 eastbound near Glen Hearn. Hopefully we'll have that back open shortly. That traffic's been backed up to Greenbrier for most of the morning. Had a wreck southbound on Research Park near Old Madison Pike. It should be pretty well wrapped up now. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. If you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Stan McDonald. Stan, tell everybody why you're the best damn dirt lawyer in North Alabama.
Yes, Wes, at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. You know I'm a dirt lawyer, and a lot of our friends know that, which means we specialize in real estate. Now, if you own real estate or you're buying it or you're selling it, you need to do a closing, but a lot of times there's legal issues associated with that. We're a great group to talk to. My son, Lewis McDonald, heads our commercial closing division, and we approach your real estate needs very seriously. We seek to be the premier real estate closing company in North Alabama, and we do it in such a way it shows that we're experienced, we're for your success. We like to handle your real estate needs the same way Coach Dan Reeves used to say, never let them see you sweat, and that's going to be to your benefit, too, when you visit us at Jacob Title and the Stanton Law Firm. Our website online is jacobtitle.com.
And now, a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Time now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
But that trick never worked.
I want to spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it till we try. And I tell you what, we talk a lot about the the bad side of college football. And I say the bad side, the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness, and how it's kind of taken a part of the game, and it's just kind of changing it, and we don't have all that good stuff going on. Well, the College Football Hall of Fame announced their class. Remember, they did it. They announced Nick Saban during the game day version for the Texas and Ohio State game.
Right.
Led in and said, hey, congratulations, Coach. You're the first inductee named. Well, then the other names that came out. Well, yesterday they released everybody, but the
whole class.
So here's what they're doing is they are sending, and it's surprise, because the Pro Football Hall of Fame, now they go around with the gold jackets and they knock on the doors and they do this. Well, for the College Football Hall of Fame, they are mailing out footballs. Yeah. And there's notes inside the football, and it's a surprise to every person. It was a surprise to everybody. Here is a surprise for a long-time college football coach here in the state of Alabama.
Larry Blakeney earns the nod after multiple Sun Belt Coach of the Year awards, and Larry Ford.
What in the hell is going on? Yeah.
Drop the paper.
What's that?
Says, of the 5.78 million who have played and coached college football since 1869, only 1,093 players and 233 coaches have been inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Welcome to the club, Larry.
You kidding me?
Oh my God.
Head coach as a member of the 2025 College Football Hall of Fame? Hey, brother. Where are you?
I am in Kansas City, freezing my butt up. Hey, I want to congratulate you on this Hall of Fame deal.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. That's a great honor.
You deserve it.
Dr. Jack.
Hey, how's my coach?
Ex-coach.
You're forever my coach.
You are forever for me too, brother.
Well, we love you. We're so proud of you.
Hey, listen, I appreciate it. I was shocked. I was shocked.
Well, that means you deserve the recognition if you were shocked.
I was shocked. Oh, look at that boy.
What is up, Coach?
What's up with you?
From me, it's almost like I got the opportunity to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and then now it's circling back and saying it's giving back to you and your family, everybody, and saying like this is forever. To say, you know what, all the stuff that you have put in, all that hard work, all the stuff that people don't even know that went through, that is sort of now getting put in an enshrinement that's going to last forever.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. That's so well put.
Looking at all those names,
yeah.
I'm like, he fits right in.
You're great. I'm honored that you were ready to call, and I got to visit with you. And I'm glad I got to coach you.
From player to coach.
That's right.
Congratulations to congratulations.
Thank you.
That was DeMarcus Ware.
I was going to say it's DeMarcus Ware. Don't forget about O.C. Umanura, too, who
Yeah.
also played for him and went on to play for a long time in the NFL. And you heard Lawrence Tynes. He's a long-time kicker in the NFL, played at Troy. There's a lot of great players that Coach Blakeney influenced. And, of course, he also worked for Pat Dye at Auburn. And but he had a long, great run at Troy, and basically took them from a Division II power and then FCS to an FBS program that now has become a consistent one.
So Larry Blakeney, he was 178, 113 and 1. He was there from 91 to 2014 at Troy. The other coaches that'll be inducted into the Hall of Fame, Urban Meyer.
Yeah, we've already talked about PTSD.
Going into the Hall of Fame, stops at Bowling Green State, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Players that'll headline the class, Monty Ball.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Great player.
Greg Carr from Auburn will go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You have Graham Harrell, John Henderson, Michael Huff, Alex Mack, Terrence Metcalf from Ole Miss will go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, DK's his son.
Michael Strahan, who was at Texas Southern.
Slightly good.
Yeah, he worked out pretty well. Michael Vick will go into the College Football Hall of Fame, the quarterback from Virginia Tech.
Yeah, and he was an electric player. He basically took Virginia Tech to that next level and took them to one of college football's elite programs under Frank Beamer. And the reason Frank Beamer's a Hall of Famer. I mean, you know, and considered the greatest coach in Virginia Tech history. And he didn't ever win the Heisman, but he certainly had that kind of talent. He was the number one pick in the draft, and he elevated Virginia Tech to the point where they played in '99 for a national championship against Florida State.
Let's go out to the phone lines. Floyd is with us. Good morning, Floyd.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Good.
Good morning, sir.
Drew, got a trivia question for you.
Sure.
Where was Coach Larry Blakeney's first head coaching job?
I'm going to guess Walker County.
Exactly.
There you go.
Really? That was his first one.
Yes, he was there in the mid-'70s, and he when he left, and I think I was in the 9th grade when he left. Coach Campbell took over. We had an influx of Auburn influence at the time, and but yeah, that was at one time we had he was the head football coach, and Herbie Green, who ended up being Sonny Smith's right-hand man at Auburn, was the basketball.
Wow.
He was the basketball coach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, I was proud to hear Coach Blakeney getting that honor. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it's a great honor and well deserved for the influence and what he did at Troy.
Right. And then, if I'm not mistaken, one of the guys I played with at UNA, Johnny Williams, was the AD down there in Troy for a while.
That's correct.
I thought so. All right. Well, you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Floyd.
Thanks. Yeah, he coached at Vestavia Hills High School in 1975.
For Buddy Anderson. Or before Buddy Anderson. I think Buddy took over in 78.
Yeah, and then he moved into the college ranks in 1977. He was hired at Auburn at 1977 as the offensive line coach. And then in 79, he was the tight end and wide receivers coach for 2 years. And then just the wide receiver coach from 81 to 89. And then in 90, he became the head football coach at Troy State.
It was Troy State when he took over. That's right.
It was Troy State at that time.
Right.
And then won 2 national championships the previous decade, but they were 13 and 17. Yep. So there you go.
Yep.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll talk a little Kentucky basketball, shall we?
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. We're going to be a little bit warmer across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Temperatures actually seasonal for this time of year. Highs climbing into the low and mid 50s, dropping into the upper 20s, lower 30s as we head into the overnight. Early Friday morning, a partly sunny sky. Friday afternoon, temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 50s, dropping into the 40s as we head into the overnight. Now, rain is going to move into the Tennessee Valley Friday night, Saturday morning, and that's going to stick with us through at least a chunk of Saturday afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a wrecker on the scene now for that last vehicle on 565 eastbound near Glen Hearn. Hopefully we'll have that back open shortly. That traffic's been backed up to Greenbrier for most of the morning. Had a wreck southbound on Research Park near Old Madison Pike. It should be pretty well wrapped up now. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. If you need cardiac care, you need the Heart Doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
What's the matter with the hay? I love that song. That song's a good song, by the way. That's one of those songs where in the middle of the spring, you just roll the car windows down, you just drive down the street, and you're just kind of like, oh, you're feeling good. Anyway.
I wish SiriusXM would stop calling. I'm not resubscribing.
Oh, did your free subscription end?
Of course.
Did you use it in your car?
Like 10 years ago.
You don't use it now, though?
I didn't get one with this one.
Oh, you don't have satellite radio in your new car?
I don't think so. They never told me that.
You do, and I guarantee you, when you bought your new car, if you turned it over there, you had a free subscription to satellite radio.
Well, it's been 2 months, so I don't know. I haven't tried
That's probably the subscription that they want you to renew.
Well, every time I answer it, they want me to pay something.
Anyway, well, speaking of getting paid,
he's earning every penny.
He is he not?
Yeah.
Is he not? Mark Pope trying to bring some life back into this Kentucky team. Not that the life all was gone when John Calipari was there, but he's just trying to bring some newness to this. And Kentucky has been off to a pretty good start, especially when it comes to SEC play. But we all know how good the league has been so far, and we know how good the league will be probably the rest of the way. On Saturday, inside Rupp Arena, 11 a.m. Our time, 12 o'clock noon there in Kentucky. 8th-ranked Kentucky is going to welcome 4th-ranked Alabama in another expected just slugfest.
No, I mean, Kentucky's been one of the best stories of the offseason. They completely rebuilt their roster under new coach Mark Pope. He did remarkable things at BYU. We know he was part of one of the best teams in college basketball history, the '96 Kentucky Wildcats. He wasn't the top guy for the job as far as the candidates that were mentioned, but he ended up being, I think, the perfect fit, and that matters. Certainly matters at a place like Kentucky, which is a blue blood and has always been considered one of the top 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 programs ever in college basketball. And so far in year one, it's been, a honeymoon. It's been a great start. Certainly they've had a couple of blips, especially the Ohio State game, the game at Georgia, but still. They're ranked in the top 10 in the country. They've already got 5 top 15 wins, and we're going to talk about that and more. This will be the first time for him joining the show.
Yeah.
But we certainly have had Tyler Thompson, his colleague. We've talked about Matt Jones, Kentucky Sports Radio, part of On 3 Sports, and he has a great YouTube show that I enjoy watching, Sources Say. And Jack Pilgrim has been kind enough to join us this morning to talk Big Blue Nation. Jack, welcome to Huntsville. You're Drew and Scott. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm very, very much looking forward to Saturday. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. And how much did it change? It's not going to change anything from the Kentucky side. It's still a great opportunity for them. And they got a nice win over Texas A&M at home earlier this week. But did it change anything at all that Alabama kind of hit a wall against Ole Miss?
It definitely kind of puts you – this season is just so difficult where you got to kind of take the wins as they come and take each opportunity as they come. And, if you can go 2-0 in a week, it's that's about as good as gold. And, teams are pretty desperate to, at worst, let's try to get 1-1 on the week. So Alabama, unfortunately for us, is going to be kind of having that same mentality going into this weekend. Hey, you lost one on Tuesday, make up for it on Saturday in a league that's just just impossible to gain momentum and things like that. So yeah, we're definitely have our eyes definitely peeled a little bit after Alabama's little slip up, because we know they're going to be coming in bringing the heat on Saturday.
So Mark Pope comes in and basically has to rebuild this roster. And the thing is in today's college landscape, it's a little easier, just a little easier to somewhat try to build the roster, because you can go out and get guys through NIL. You just don't know how it's all going to come together, how it's all going to
make it fit, and that's what I think Kentucky's done a great job.
Is that what has been the most impressive thing, is the fact that he's been able to bring a bunch of guys together and get the fit right early on?
I think that's been the main reason for optimism long term with what Mark Pope is building in Lexington. He took, he was kind of behind the chains a little bit with, hired early April when the portal process had already started. The teams that missed the NCAA tournament, knocked out the first couple rounds. They were already out in the portal. The hundreds of talented pieces already in the portal by the time he took the job. So he kind of had to just take the best of the rest and, handpick, hey, this guy might not be the best defensive threat, but man, that's, Kobe Bryant is the best three-point shooter in college basketball. We got to figure out a way to add him in and make that one work. The way he just kind of handpicked and said, okay, this guy is going to work well with this one. That's a complementary fit with that guy. Just kind of on a whim. I mean, he stacked these additions, in a matter of a week or two, bringing in just official after official after official, and just kind of had no choice but to say, hey, I don't know if this is going to work, but I think I see a vision with these guys coming together and playing well together, and they have the puzzle pieces have fit magically, and they're exactly the players that he hoped they would be when he signed them out of the portal. So it just does give you confidence that, okay, if he's able to do that on the fly in a matter of a couple weeks, what about when he's building, a high school recruiting class, when he's able to look at the landscape of college basketball for an entire year, an entire cycle, and say, okay, if that guy hits the portal, that's my guy. I know with certainty that's my fit. So for this has been just a kind of a trial run for everybody in BBN, just to say, hey, this is the most disadvantaged you will be in your entire career at Kentucky. No sample size for success for you individually. No time to recruit the high school ranks. No time to starting late with the portal. If this is the worst it's going to be, odds are pretty darn good. It's going to be pretty impressive here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, no question about it. And they certainly have started strong in SEC play. In your mind, though, I know they had an extremely high scoring game, and we may see that kind of game on Saturday. The 106-100, SEC opener against Florida. That was a high-level game that they were able to win. They went to the hump. They won 95-90, and then they win 81-69 earlier this week over Texas A&M at home. Now, but what was the anomaly? What happened in the Georgia game that kind of led to that 82-69 defeat?
So this team has, for as talented as they are offensively, brilliant at times they can be in terms of creating open shots and making those open shots. They have a bad tendency of when physicality hits, when the complicated defense kind of throws some unique wrenches into their plans. They kind of abort mission a little bit and say, okay, well, Otega Owe, he now needs to do it by himself. Okay, Lamont Butler now has to go and try to get shots for himself. Jackson Robinson the same. They kind of had a hero complex, if you will, where it's when life gets tough, I'll go handle it myself, and that's kind of going against what Mark Pope is kind of driving home of, hey, doesn't matter how tough it's getting, just run the offense through the whole shot clock. Like don't see the process through. Don't try to take shortcuts because things appear to be difficult. And I think that's what made the bounce back. You go to Georgia, kind of get punched in the mouth, and then the way they responded at Mississippi State, the way they responded at home against Texas A&M, against two, even more physical, more tough, the ultimate test for what went wrong in Georgia. They responded very, very well against Mississippi State, and then even better, in my opinion, defensively and the way they just kind of saw the process through against Texas A&M at home. That was a really, really good response. They kind of took they heard the, hey, you guys are soft comments. They took that very personally, and I think, if that's sustainable, I think that's definitely a recipe for success long term, to go with the clear offensive success this team's finding.
How cool of a moment was it for Mark Pope away from the court after the game at Mississippi State? It's cool. Video that's gone viral now of him going into the stands and just meeting a Kentucky fan, a handicapped Kentucky fan that could not really come down to the court. But it just kind of shows just how down to earth is Mark Pope, right?
It truly blows my mind every time he does something like that. I'll be at the crow's nest of Rupp Arena, just sitting there working, doing post game work, and I'll look down. Whole gym is completely empty except for one row of fans after the post game radio show, and Mark Pope will still be down there on his hands and knees, signing autographs with kids, and like that's just him. He has understood this job better than anybody else could in college basketball. You guys opened the show kind of saying, hey, he wasn't the number one option, but he's the best option. And that moment right there is the best example of that. He's a guy that just knows what it's like to be a member of VBN. He knows the passion. He knows the craziness. He knows the highs, lows, the lefts and rights, and he just gets it. And that moment right there kind of embodies that. He's a guy that knows that, hey, if that fan made the trip to watch his team play all the way away from Lexington, being where they were, hey, this guy lives here and wants to come celebrate this win with you. He can't come physically celebrate with me, so I'm going to go celebrate with him. That is and it's all genuine. It's all very real. You talk to people that know him, that work with him behind the scenes. You talk to him privately off the record, and they're like, what you see is what you get. He is the most down-to-earth, genuine dude I've ever met, and what you see on camera is the exact same person he is behind the scenes. It didn't matter if there were cameras, rolling with that moment or not. He had no idea in the moment that was going to go viral, but that's kind of just what makes him special.
And we're talking to Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio, part of On 3 Sports. This will be the first of two meetings. Talk about the matchup with Alabama. I know it's been highly anticipated since he took the job. Kentucky, Jackson Robinson, Otega Owe. They've got a really nice squad that has come together. Amir Williams. Talk about this matchup. Alabama wants to push the pace. They want to shoot the three, but they want to attack the rim. And talk about how the styles we're going to see, because Kentucky is a very, very good offensive team as well when they get rolling.
It's the battle of the offensive mastermind. I think it's going to be a blast. I mean, when you get Nate Oates for kind of being just known for, hey, this is the forward thinking, as analytical and brilliant as they come in terms of offensive minds, and then you get Mark Pope, who's the rising up and coming version of that, and now getting his first shot at this level. So it's kind of we've seen Kentucky at its best. We've also seen them at its worst. And Alabama's rolling in a way, Final Four run, like the momentum of the program that he set the foundation, took some early lumps, and is now reaping the benefits for that. So I think all eyes are on the offensive, point production, the shot selection, all gas, no breaks with threes, and it's threes, layups, and dunks. And so would be shocked if this game doesn't get up into the 90s, maybe even low hundreds, and it's going to be a battle of who's going to make the most shots. We hit 16 down there against Mississippi State. That was kind of the best all-around shooting production night that Kentucky has played all season long. And if you can catch Kentucky on that kind of night, same way we've seen with Nate Oates and Alabama, if you catch them on those nights, it's pretty darn tough to beat them. So I'm hoping that we get one of those nights where we get the best shooting version of Kentucky and the best shooting version of Alabama, and just see, hey, who's the better offensive juggernaut. And, let's see what happens when the ball's tipped.
I'm going to ask, and I don't know if it's something that's even happening, but how much is Big Blue Nation kind of paying attention to what's going on in Fayetteville?
Oh, they're paying attention.
Closely. Very, very closely. It's a tough dynamic because I think in their heart of hearts, BBN is still, has a soft spot for the good memories, the nostalgia of 2012, 2015. They want to see the best version of him, and I don't think anybody wants to see him be an outright failure to the point of like, hey, he sucks so bad that he's got to retire at the end of the year because they don't even want him anymore. Like, I don't think that's what they wanted. I think they wanted a competitive basketball team that Kentucky just so happened to be much better than, and goes deeper in March, and just kind of a told you so for Kentucky fans without the embarrassment of a guy that they do kind of hold near and dear to their heart for the good reasons. So it is kind of a tricky situation. I liked John Calipari personally. He was always very good to me. So seeing him kind of create his own failures by having kind of the wrong people around him have kind of enabled his poor behavior, if you will, and kind of laying a foundation of failure down in, I think they just got off to a really poor start with the roster they built, the staff that they built. Like, I just think this season was destined for failure down there. And I'm hoping that there's some people that can hold him accountable and kind of bring him back to the version that we knew and love up to basically that 2020-21 year where he went 9-16 and things kind of really started going off the rails in Lexington. So we're it'd be cool to see him recreate some magic and have Kentucky beat the best version of him. But hey, as long as Kentucky's winning, I think BBN's going to be just fine no matter what happens.
And now finally, Jag, that's a perfect segue. If Big Blue Nation, this is 11 a.m. and our brunch tip-off on Saturday morning, what do they need to do to beat Alabama? And they're always very tough and rough anyway.
Yeah, I think BBN needs to be at its best. We saw them at its best down when Florida came to town. That was an 11 a.m. Eastern time tip-off for us. It was 10 for you guys. That was a coffee game. That was hey, Chick-fil-A bringing in the chicken minis. Hey, we gotta have a breakfast game, and BBN handled that environment and kind of the early tip-off extremely well. Obviously, Kentucky putting up 106 points. They did just fine with that as well. So I'm liking that Mark Pope kind of starts practice early, and throughout this week he'll be the practices will be at 11 a.m. noon to get the guys ready to roll with the early tip-off. But I do think it simply comes down to the best version of what we saw the last two games with Kentucky, responding to physicality, establishing, kind of being the hammer instead of the nail, trying to lay the foundation early with the physicality and then just make shots. I mean, it simply does come down to that. The open shots will be there for both teams. Who makes more of them? We've seen this team go absolutely nuclear from three. We've also seen them go 4 for 22 like they did did down in Athens. So that version of Kentucky won't beat just hardly anybody in the SEC. So that we've seen two different versions of this team, and you just kind of have to hope that we see the one closer to Florida and A&M and Mississippi State than the one that we saw down in Athens.
Well,
you're loving these early tip-offs, though, aren't you?
Oh, I'm loving it because it means I have an actual day. I mean, there are times when tip-offs at 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm not leaving Russ till midnight, 1, 2 a.m. So yeah, I'm excited to have a Saturday evening.
Well, great stuff. We appreciate your time. Let everybody know how to follow you guys on Kentucky Sports Radio, and of course, talk about Sources Say and your daily program.
Yeah, we live on the YouTube channel the day after games, 8 o'clock. Break down kind of in the silliest, goofiest way imaginable. We have a lot of fun over there. And then go, KentuckySportsRadio.com is where you find all my written work, and we're having a lot of fun. It's fun to be a Kentucky fan, and it feels like it hasn't been that way for at least a little bit. So we're enjoying this season quite a bit.
No doubt, and we're looking forward to the game on Saturday morning. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let's get that final break in. Tomorrow's headlines next.
I connect you.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a wrecker on the scene now for that last vehicle on 565 eastbound near Glen Hearn. Hopefully we'll have that back open shortly. That traffic's been backed up to Greenbrier for most of the morning. had a wreck southbound on Research Park near Old Madison Pike. It should be pretty well wrapped up now. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. If you need cardiac care, you need the Heart Doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue. Captain Nick in the Valley Skywatch Traffic Center.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio, including the college football playoff and national championship game.
The electricity, the atmosphere.
The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the Ohio State Buckeyes, the college football playoff national championship, presented by AT&T. Coverage begins Monday, January 20th at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
It's the beauty of college football.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, so one high school head coaching vacancy has been filled in our area. James Clemens has their new head coach, and another area school is now looking for a new head football coach. The Grissom Tigers going through a coaching change.
Yeah, Rich Dutton, he's stepped aside, and we'll see. I think he's got some plans coming up.
He says he's retiring. He put a post out that said that 20-some years he's retiring.
He's retiring. He's got enough years in the public school system. Longtime coach at Lawrence County. He was an assistant at Russellville. He's put in a lot of years. He's going to retire from public school coaching is the way I'll phrase it. We'll see. I know they'll announce it later on, what his future plans are. But certainly I enjoyed working with Coach Dutton, class man. It's a tough job over there at Grissom, but I certainly know he put in a lot of time and effort over there. Certainly we appreciated working with him. He was a big part of our media days in the last 2 years over at Toyota Field. Very, very accommodating. I know we did some games of the week with Grissom, and we appreciate working with him and wish him luck in his next chapter. No question about that.
All right, let's end it for today, shall we?
Yeah, we are ending it.
Forget where we're at again.
Yeah. Jeff, you can call the next show. I hope you enjoyed Big Blue Nation. We gave Jack Pilgrim a great, platform, and it's going to be a very tough game for Alabama. It would have been tough even if they'd beaten Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But they played Kentucky twice. I'm hoping they can get a split with the Wildcats. I respect Kentucky's program immensely, and certainly Mark Pope's doing great things.
All right, we'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Stay safe.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.